Hello, friends. I'm host Eric, and I'm here to say I'm gonna live stream today. Live stream. Live stream. More specifically, I'm gonna discuss optimality, circumstance, and spite. So, poor Eric Thor I see Eric Thor as struggling to find a way to engage psychologically with people that doesn't engender a bunch of fireworks. And so he's taking this approach of, well, everybody can try to be more optimal, but he's framed it wrong. He framed it as everybody uses all the functions, so everybody can work on them and etc. But that's simply not true. Hi, Octavia Silva. Optimality is attained when the world does more. Yeah, I got cigarettes. When the world does more to reassure you that you're fine the way you are, rather than less. That's when optimality occurs. Much of our capacity to optimize links to our capacity to change our circumstances, rather than, I guess, reflect in impactful ways. Hi, Heartbreak Kid. Hi, Boba Fett. Hi, Winston. Hi, Octavia Silva. Hi, Lady Lou. It's a lot of highs for one little Eric. Though, and kind of an odd reflection of my reality. Rachel kind of has an ex-best friend too. So I have an ex-INFJ best friend. She has an ex-ENTP best friend. Jen is her name. And she's been talking on the phone with this girl for hours now, and is still talking on the phone with her. So I'm curious as to exactly what's going on there, but I find it pleasing because maybe there's more room for reconciliation between them two, or it'll be easier for them two to reconcile and integrate into each other's lives again than it will be for me and Corey, for reasons that Lady Lou and I talked about quite a bit in our conversation, although I think maybe that's more in the second part. You still struggle with possessive apostrophes? Give a small lesson. I mean, it's just, if it's a singular noun, it's apostrophe S. If it's a plural noun that ends in S, you put the apostrophe after the S. If it's a plural noun that doesn't end in S, then you put apostrophe S. If it's a word that's not plural that ends in S, like say Strauss, you'd put apostrophe S unless it ends in two S's, like Strauss, in which case you just put apostrophe. There you go. And don't forget that the apostrophe represents the contraction, not the possession. So that's the big exception to it. With an apostrophe, it means it is, and with no apostrophe, it means it's possessive. But that's an exception. Strauss's hubris is legit. Yeah, that's right. Except I have no hubris, Boba Fett. Gosh, I'm hubris free. I'm not hubris. I'm Hugh Robust. Okay? Here we go, baby. Things are going to fly now. Things are going to start flying off the shelves. We're talking about excitement, explosions, car chases, superpowers, everything you ever wanted in anything, right now, right here, all the time, constantly. That's how I roll. It's just constant, non-stop excitement and thrills. So I've been very interested lately, and it's made me feel happier in general actually about YouTube. Although I have some sort of initial processing to do about it, but I've been happy lately with and excited by the Shorts channel. The Shorts channel, a few days ago, I put up 90, well, not quite, no, the drama test is not settled yet, which is why I included Spite on this, because there's somebody named Avec Amour, who, I don't know who it is, but they started their channel today, right, to leave this incredibly spiteful comment on my Jordan Peterson video, in which they try to pretend it's about Jordan Peterson until the end when they reveal it's really about Melissa Talks, you know? So, it's probably that guy, but I really don't know. The point is, obviously, if you made your channel, your profile today, in order to leave a big spiteful comment on one of my videos, that despite your best efforts to hide for most of the comment, you reveal at the end that really you're not talking about anything but Melissa Talks. Well, it makes it pretty obvious that that's what you might say is a perfect example of spite. Like, this guy goes out of his way to make a brand new account called Avec Amour with love, and directs attention to writing this really spiteful comment on my Jordan Peterson video, which is just a barely veiled attack on me and my character in every way possible, right? So I left it up and I put a couple of responses to it. The first response being a simple correction. At the end of it, he's like, "You're the old man attacking girls of his own daughter's age." Actually, my daughter's 23. So I think Melissa Talks is like 29 or something. She's in her late 20s because she kept referring to herself, I know you, I believe, because she kept referring to herself as in her 20s. It's like, if she had a more powerful way to put that, she would have put it in a more powerful way. It's just that her exact age doesn't make her sound that young. In her 20s makes her sound younger than her actual age, Well, so is my girlfriend. Sort of. I mean, I don't know what else you'd call 30. I mean, Rachel's definitely a millennial, not sort of. I don't know what else you'd call 30. What is she? If I'm 50, she's 37 right now. Grotto viewing is banging that girl? Do you think that's true? Or is it just totally speculative rumor mongering? Do you have reason to believe that's true? I mean, yeah, I'm Gen X for sure. And in fact, I read some interesting articles after the Super Bowl about how the halftime show was being pitched as this: the millennials finally get their halftime show. The fuck? That was all Gen X. But you're saying you got to read on their interaction together or body language or something? I mean, what do you think 37 is, What's my daughter at 23? Is she a millennial or is she Gen Z? Well, I don't mind the gossip. I just don't want to be guilty of spreading false rumors or just speculative rumors as though they were fact. But I will say this, that Winston's mom, I believe it was, at some point said that she thought those two were married, Melissa Talks and Ghost of Young, and then she corrected herself saying, no, actually she's married to somebody else from the internet, maybe? Asking INTJ Joe from Ghost of Young all the questions after we meet up in real life. Oh, they met up in real life? Well, then maybe they did. I don't know. I mean, I think those generational things are not very informative, although as a broad expression of sort of cycles of culture, I think there is, somebody's posited this theory of generations going in a succession of basically like the generation that struggles really hard, the generation that coasts on the hard work of the generation that struggled really hard, their kids who are super entitled, and then the next generation after that is more about like change, or I don't know, there's something like that. I don't remember the specs of it, but I remember when I read about it, I thought that seems to make some sense. It's just kind of like an NI thing, but it seems to make some sense. But the point is, of course, like any of those labels that aren't typology, just because you know I'm Gen X doesn't mean you know anything at all about me, and that's ultimately the problem with those kind of terms, is that they may help you kind of understand commonalities between you and other people, but they're not useful for you understanding other people at all. At least not any other specific people. There are ways of painting pictures about the current population of grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, the current existent population of linked generations. When people talk about generational stuff, they're saying, here's a picture that I'm painting about how our respective representations of American, from little child to very old person, typically look, Well, sure, and Jonathan Basanti here raises an important point. We've never, prior to the internet, experienced a fundamental shift about the way that humans engage in the world of anything of equivalent scope or at all. So the only thing that you might point to as equivalent would be like the printing press, the advent of broadly accessible text, libraries, and so forth. But it's really not equivalent, because the thing is, what was missing prior to the internet that's existent now is a real functioning metaphysical ecosystem. A library is a very truncated version of an effective real metaphysical ecosystem. A real metaphysical ecosystem allows people from disparate locations to respond and engage with one another in real time. And prior to the 80% of all divorces are caused by just one woman? Who is this horrible woman who's interfering in everybody's relationships? I want to know. Is it like Eva Femme Wicked Woman. Is that her name or something? Hi, Strawberry. Let's be careful about saying married people are being less than married when there's nothing to indicate this, and neither is it any of our typology business. I didn't know I was saying that. I didn't mean to be saying anything of the sort. I don't know what's going on with anybody like that. I don't care enough to look into it. It's part of the reason why, the spite monkey is so striking to me. And his persistence, and it's like, okay. First of all, why would you think that you're gonna fool me right now? Or, I mean, really ever, but right now. When you've made such a big fuss about things. Number two, how is it that this person seems immune to me pointing out stuff like, you're actually engaged in this bad behavior that you keep accusing me of, but I never did it, and you continue to do it and prove yourself a person of low character and no honesty over and over again. Like, how is it possible that it doesn't get through to this person at all? That, in fact, let's say I were to be guilty of being the person this guy's portraying me to be, then that might justify some of the outrage. But it's to anybody who's got any capacity at all to be honest, at this point he surely realizes I'm not that guy. And yet he doubles down and quadruples down and octuple down on the same points he keeps making, hammering the same warrants about me, harassing and stalking a young woman, a helpless young woman, which is just so fucking insane. How is it possible that a person can just be that oblivious, like, or purposefully wrong, or purposefully knowingly lying in that fact? Like, what exactly is going on there? It's strange because there's absolutely zero grounding to this guy's attacks. It's not like he's latched onto something that there's a nugget of truth to. There's zero ground here. Nothing at all. He's positioning me as something I definitely am not and never have been. And there's no disputing that, like, every bit of data that he's been exposed to has proved that. So how is it that one can be so, like, can continue doubling down on one's bets when it becomes increasingly obvious that you're losing every single bet, and accordingly the capacity to continue to bet, and then to just still repeat the same kind of behavior? It's strange. No, of course not. Look, the issue of whether I did anything wrong is a decided matter. I definitely did not. I did nothing wrong. I made a type police video where I didn't even throw her in type jail, and I made some follow-up videos responding to stuff that she said. And then I additionally made that live stream last night, and now it's coming up again as a subject here, but this is not so much about her, right? I don't know who that person is who left that comment, for sure. I just know that they went under the name of Becca Moore, and that they made their channel today. So it's like they started that profile specifically so they could pretend to be a person that is unfamiliar to me and critiquing me in a way that's designed to hurt my feelings, It doesn't work, obviously, because they're completely baseless attacks. you got to. I mean, what I'm saying is, I don't feel FI about this thing. I was just surprised to see an additional comment. Like, I kind of thought maybe I had made some progress last night with them because I mean, I'm not going to watch his videos, obviously. I'm sure they just hit jobs on me. So, that's just how it is. You know, it's like, he makes hit jobs on me, that's fine, whatever. I'm not going to watch it. I don't have... The reason I included Spite is because I genuinely have long been interested in understanding this. Perhaps because I recognize in myself the impulse sometimes. Like, I too want to get even or take something down a notch or, you know, see someone squirm because they need their just desserts. But the main difference is, number one, I only feel that way when it's true, when somebody's genuinely been bad, right? I don't, so that never expresses when somebody's not being bad. I guess in its most mild form you would call it haterism. Occasionally I might feel a little haterish, but I don't think it manifests in what I say very much. His name's Michael Smith. You can search for him. Somebody has the link, I'm sure. You know, it's like somebody sent me an email to his video that he had up for a little while before he took it down. And, I mean, you should search both his name and Host Eric or TWFP. It's on the Jordan Peterson video. The most recent one, in which I say... Jordan Peterson, tell your subscribers to watch me. It's that one. So, and Jonathan Basanti, if you go to that video and you see that comment is not there, then he must have deleted the comment in response to my my replies. The first of which was, okay, so that long comment was really all about Melissa Talks. All the other stuff is bullshit. And I mean, the thing is, I don't know how much his behavior links to her, you know. He's using her, and look at the date it was started. It was started March 14th, 2022. Eliana, I'm going to make you a moderator. Can you put the link, please? Oh, no, you didn't, Eliana, because you tried to post it before you were blue, maybe. You gotta try again. Yeah. So anyway, as I was trying to get before I got sidetracked by this other issue, in this instance, I'm not. You'll notice I didn't make the title anything Melissa Talks or anything like that. I just mentioned I was going to talk about spite in it because I do find the subject of spite interesting. Like, in the instance of spite, somebody is sacrificing their own time and opportunity to do what they want to do in order to harm you. And it doesn't matter sometimes even if it costs them a lot of time and energy, and maybe even resources, money or whatever. It's worth it if they successfully hurt you. So I kind of understand the motivation for that when the person you're going after really has done wrong. But I don't get it. Yes, I see that, Eliana. Thank you. Is that your way of telling me to remove your moderator status? You're welcome to keep it until you pull a Boba Fett, if you'd like. You get one bullet. You're like a North Korean soldier. So I was trying to get all the hairs out of my ear the other night, and as you can see, I made a boo-boo on myself. I made a boo-boo. He timed somebody out who didn't do anything, based on his NI, instead of his TI. I said, whoa there, speed racer. Listen, I don't care how true your knowledge is. It doesn't work with the justification, it's not going to fly. You know? It don't matter that you're right. It matters that you can't justify it. You know, some people split their tongue for some reasons. Yeah. The reason is because they're young and stupid and choose to do something they're going to regret. You want a bedtime story? Sure. Once upon a time, there were a bunch of people here in the live stream. And all of these people were wonderful delights. Full of glory, spectacularness, tremendousness, grandeur, majesty, and wonder. That's all of you. You get all of those adjectives. That's a lot of adjectives for you. Anyhow, this wonderful, wonderful, grand group of people one day set out on an adventure. Eliana said, "Follow me. We're going to see the Great Pyramids, not in Egypt, but in South America." And Boba Fett said, "Why South America? I have to fly across the ocean then." And Jonathan Basanti said, "No, you can take a boat." Jeremiah Fix said, "You gotta watch out though, because sometimes boats leak." Ash said, "Yeah, let's go to South America instead. That's closer for most of us." And Boba Fett said, "All right." And he sighed, but he had no choice but to give in. So, anyway, everybody met together at Alien 60's house in Texas, which is near Mexico. They went down towards the south of Texas. And first they partied in Austin for a couple of days, all the people there. And then, finally, host Eric and Rachel showed up. And what happened? Everyone said, "Hey, cool." And Eric's like, "Do any of you guys have any good drugs?" And everyone's like, "No, we had a few, but we did them before you guys got here, and we didn't really have very many." And so everyone agreed it was time to go to Mexico. Because after doing a little Googling, they determined that that's where a lot of the drug cartels are located. And where a better place to go to get some exciting drugs than directly from the cartels themselves. Presumably one can attain a wholesale price in this fashion. Anyhow, so we whole group went down past the border into Tijuana, where we were accosted by a group of small Mexican ragamuffins bearing piñatas and a salesman's urge. Naturally, Winston's mom, who we all know has a bit of a problem with her piñata addiction, held up the group for 6 hours, purchasing an assortment of piñatas, and after having collected more than she could possibly carry, insisting they go to the FedEx office in Tijuana where she had them all FedExed back to her house. Anyhow, after that was all done, finally, we as a group were able to move forward in our day, but we discovered, of course, naturally, that it was lunchtime, we were hungry. So what do you do when in Tijuana? We went to a Mexican restaurant where they served Mexican food because Tijuana is in Old Mexico. Exotic Old Mexico, south of the border. So anyway, Alien 60 said, "Look, Eric," as Alien 60 was down in Tequila Shooters at lunch with his carne asada burrito, "I am not in the business of doing drugs, okay? Give me a couple more shots of tequila," tells the waitress. "Do that thing." And the waiter came over and I said, "You don't want to do that thing." And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And the waiter put your head back and shook your head like this to make you drink it. And then, naturally, Alien 60 got up and puked. And he said, "Well, the good news is I feel better. And I'm good. I'm ready to go. I'm good to drive." And I'm like, "You're not driving. No fucking way. I'm driving. I was driving anyway, and now you're drunk. Now you want to drive?" And Alien 60's like, "I drive better when I'm drunk." And I said, "I don't give a fuck because I hate riding in the car. So we're taking my car and I'm driving. And that's all there is to it, or else you can ride one of these burros here from Tijuana and follow us down the highway. I don't care. Or you can ride with Winston's mom in her car, but you're not driving my car." So anyway, we eventually make our way down to Ensenada. And at that point, Alien 60 is passed out in the back seat, snoring softly, and we can tell he's going to be hungover when he gets up, you know. And Eliana says, "Wait, stop, right there." And just past Ensenada, we make a right turn, and our caravan of cars travels off into the South American jungle. I say, "Are you sure we're on the right path, Eliana?" But she's got her phone out, and she had Google mapped it all out ahead of time. And so she had it saved on her phone. So even though we have lost connectivity with the cell phone towers, she can still keep track of where we're going and stuff. And we do, in fact, eventually, after many hours of driving deeper and deeper and deeper into the jungle, we see ahead this looming shape gradually grow larger and larger. And it turns out to be a lost Mayan pyramid that nobody had ever discovered before, but that Eliana had spotted on Google Earth one day. She said, "That looks kind of like a pyramid, although more random looking, because that's why no one's discovered it before. But let's go down there and check it out." So, true enough, she had in fact found an theretofore undiscovered Mayan pyramid, and the group of us, at that point, settled down outside the base of the pyramid to make old-fashioned torches. We each gathered some sticks and wrapped some straw and tar around it and so forth, and lit them on fire. And then, well, we didn't light them on fire. Then we all got together and I said, "Jeremiah, Chris, Tyne, can you come over here? Boba Fett, Jonathan, look, we need to get this large stone door moved. So how are we going to get the women to do it for us?" And what we did was, eventually, we had this conversation that was kind of loud near the women, talking about how the women probably couldn't do it. And then reverse psychology kicks in, and pretty soon all the chicks are there, heave, heave, heave. So finally they push the large stone door out of the way. And sure enough, behind it is a dark passageway to a heretofore unexplored nether realm, involving the magic of the ancient Mayans and their exochilt ways. So we light our old-fashioned torches that we've prepared in advance, and unfortunately, we've all forgotten to bring flashlights, except for Jonathan Basanti and Winston's mom. But for some reason, even their flashlights, which they double-checked and have backup batteries for, although they didn't bring any extra for anybody else, but regardless, even their flashlights strangely aren't working. What's going on? So, of course, one of us, I guess it's CJ, tries his cell phone flashlight. His cell phone, 0%, but it was just fully charged, he says. What happened to all the electricity in my device? Alien 60 yawns, coughs. I go, oh, we left him in the back of the car. And he's like, oh my God, I feel so shitty. Where are we? And I say, Alien 60, I told you not to drink tequila like that. If you get him to shake your head and make you drink it, that makes you extra hungover. It's like, well, just don't lecture me about it now. Just somebody give me something to feel better. I say, here, take a couple Addies. Good. Now drink this water. Yep. Here's a couple of Tylenols. Those will help as well with your hangover. And now, just stand there. I'm going to Japanese encourage you, okay? And then Alien 60 stood there, and I went, "Oosh!" like that. And he's like, oh, boy, that's a brisk, brightening, kind of effervescent experience being woken up in that fashion. So CJ says, what are we doing? Are we going to wait for Alien 60 all day? And Rachel says, and Jeremiah Fix goes, yeah, look, hey, I don't want to wait for that old drunk, okay? He's a debauching drunk. And Alien 60, shame on you. And Alien 60 says, hey, I wasn't the only one who was drunk. Lady Lou was just as shit-faced as me. And Lady Lou sheepishly looks down at the floor. And I point out, yeah, but she can handle her liquor. You know, that she's perfectly fine. You were passed out in the car, and you smell like puke and old tequila. And so Alien 60 goes to the back of the car where he's got his travel bag, and he takes out some mouthwash and uses that. And then finally, I said, can we go in the fucking pyramid already? And, you know, Jonathan Bassani has started to take off ahead of us. And I'm like, no fucking way, dude. No. I'm the Edmund Hillary here. I'm the guy who gets to the top of Everest first. You're just the Sherpa. You have to be in second place. And everyone's like, Eric, I can't believe what a dick you are. And Alien 60's like, no, come on, guys. Eric's right. Eric's right. He should get to go first. And then Eliana says, why should he get to go first? We girls are the ones who pushed out this big stone door. And I say, Winston's mom, come over here. Don't you think I should go first? Look, I'm wearing this thing that you sent me in the mail. She goes, yeah, you probably should go first. And so after much discussion, Jonathan Basanti is dragged by his clothes back out of the tunnel. And he had dropped his torch in there. It's like, hey, what are you doing? And, you know, everyone said, elders first, if it's Eric. And that's because then somebody else said, well, why doesn't Winston's mom go first? I think she looks to be about the same age as him. Maybe she's a little older even. No. That is elders first if it's Eric, okay? So anyway, I went in first, and I peered down the dark tunnel. I say, Jonathan, you get behind me, and you pick up your torch when we get back to it, because it's still burning down there. We can see down the hall. And then he picks up a torch, and we're all slowly walking down the long, dark hallway, holding our torches. And Chris Tyne says, hold on, wait. And I'm like, wait. And he's like, I gotta smoke this joint real quick. I can't get it lit while I'm walking. And we're like, okay, just light it, and then just, here, let's light like 10 of them, and just pass them back and forth, okay? Just keep them rolling all the way down the thing. And then Jonathan Basanti, who's now in a bad mood because we dragged him out by his clothes forcibly, is like, are you sure that's a good idea? Because maybe the air in here doesn't have that much oxygen, and maybe we shouldn't be using it up with a bunch of smoking. And I'm like, shut up, Jonathan. You're just mad because you got pulled out by your clothes. And he's like, I am not mad because of that. It's a bad idea. I'm like, will you just shut up and light the joints and let's go? So we proceed down that pathway, and we start to notice that it starts going downhill. And then it goes steeper downhill, until we can barely, we're going like this, you know. And finally, it reaches this long flat part, bottom. And our torches cannot reveal into the distance. It's such a big room, apparently. And so Winston's mom goes, wow, this is a big room. And CJ says, this is the perfect spot to hold my Chill Oasis rave that I've got planned. I want to live stream a Chill Oasis rave. I want there to be free ecstasy pills at the door. And this seems perfect. We're going to have to run a lot of wires down into here, obviously, but this is a large space, I'm guessing. It's cool. It's in South America. That's one downside, so it's a bit of a drive. Well, it's in Mexico, which I call South America, even though it's North America. And we all agreed that CJ was right to do that. That, in fact, Mexico should be called South America rather than North America, and therefore we would all agree that it was. Of course, Jeremiah pointed out, well, then what does that make Central America? And we all agreed that it also was South America. And since we outvoted Jeremiah, he agreed to operate under those principles for the remainder of the trip. Anyway, deep in the jungles of South America, we began moving forward in this large cavernous space that we discovered at the end of this long hallway. And when we get towards the other wall, we see this thing that's kind of like, the wall surface looks kind of undulaty a bit, kind of moving around. Like, what is that? And so I go, Jonathan, come here. He goes, yeah? Okay, now's your turn to go first. Go ahead. And Jonathan's like, no, dude, what? Who knew this guy was such an asshole? I was like, relax, CJ, okay. It's your chance to be here, CJ. And so CJ says, I'm not really feeling this wall up there. It looks like it's kind of, maybe there's bugs or something. And so I go, okay, Christine, look, you're relatively new around here. So you need to do something to really stand out in the group and make yourself count for something. So you go. And Christine goes, well, it is true that I'm new, and Alien 60, I could maybe try to get him to go with me. So he says, Alien 60, will you go with me? And Alien 60's like, yeah, I'll go with you, I guess. I'm kind of new too. So then Alien 60 and Christine get their torches. Now, that wasn't enough, because half of that weed was mine anyway. We had combined our bags and we were rolling out of there. We just ground it all. And so Alien 60 and Christine slowly approach the wall, and we're watching carefully from behind them, and we see them go up to the wall. They still can't see what it is, even if the torch is really close. And then all of a sudden, we hear this, and we look at, they're gone. Where did they go? Where did they go? So the rest of us walk up to the wall and we look at it, and we see now that it appears like a kind of mucousy membrane thing, right? That is clearly organic, but none of us are quite sure what it possibly be. Maybe some kind of fungus, maybe a large land jellyfish of some sort. We're not really sure. Perhaps an undiscovered species, perhaps a cryptid. So, naturally, Jonathan Basanti, who's brought his science kit with him, says, Winston's mom, do you have your beakers and your vials? And she said, of course. I brought my INTJ travel bag full of stereotypical science things. And Jonathan Basanti says, I too have brought my INTJ travel bag full of stereotypical science things. High five. And then they high five. And that sound of that clap seems to awaken this mucous membrane thing. And now, we're all relatively close to it. It's hurtling towards us at an alarming rate. First, Winston's mom goes, she's sucked in. Then CJ. Then Chris is already in there. Then Jeremiah Fix. Then Rachel. Then CJ again. Then everybody else. Until I'm the only one who managed to escape, and I'm still on the other side of the thing. And I'm like, what the fuck? At this point, I mean, why even bother staying on this side? This is the boring side. So I just go ahead and touch the mucous membrane, and I too get sucked through. And I discover that you're already on the other side. All of you, all covered in mucus. Now me as well. Except we're in a beautiful grotto. An underground grotto. With sunlight providing light within the grotto, but sourced from who knows where. Up above somewhere. The source is unclear. And this beautiful blue water. We each drink of it. And we discover, not 15 minutes later, that it's got toxic, fatal levels of heavy metals in it. Our bodies aren't discovered for 60 years. True story. The end. It's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. I blame Eliana. She's the one who insisted we go on this trip. Although, I mean, I could blame the Mexican petrochemical company upriver that seems to have poisoned the groundwater supply, but I blame Eliana. The sequel is called TWFP Afterlife. Beyond the Grotto. TWFP Beyond the Grotto. Thanks, Lady Lou. We had such a good time. We all did. We all had a wonderful time until we died. It was really a lot of fun. A lot of great footage that'll never be seen because, of course, there was no connectivity down there. I was going to have to wait till I got back to the hotel to upload. So, but you know, in 60 years when they find my phone, I'm sure some good citizen will upload it to my YouTube channel. Hopefully. Wouldn't it be great if life rewarded that skill that I just demonstrated instead of things that are more useful than that? That'd be fantastic. If people thought that my ability to tell a random story like that was more important than, you know, being a nuclear physicist or something, like, oh, this is a super, super rare and valuable skill. Yeah, if life rewarded that skill, I'd be doing great. I'd be killing it. It's like they'll bring Neil deGrasse Tyson on some TV show to say dumbass fucking NI things about the cosmos. But nobody's interested in hearing me tell that story. Even though it's harder to do what I'm doing, presumably, but that doesn't make anything of any value. The fact that it was hard for you to do it doesn't change how useful it is. Or if it was hard, you know. The thing is, it's not hard for me, it's just natural. That's the bottom line. Is probably life doesn't reward really anybody just offering their unadulterated comfort function attention, you know? You gotta frame it in a way that's more purposed. Yeah, we can dream. It would be great if instead of the NFL, it was the National Storytelling Event or something. I got drafted as a high draft pick out of college, and I've, you know, unlike a lot of people, I didn't suffer a throat injury and have to be sidelined. Hi, Jeffrey. How you doing? Life doesn't reward anybody. That's a silly pun. Oh, Strawberry, you got lucky. Well, what happened is we didn't notice you weren't with us, and you couldn't find us. Even though it was just one straight line all the way down, you got terrible sense of direction. Do I think hate speech is a thing? I mean, it is, but the problem with talking about hate speech as a thing is there are myriad forms of hate speech that are bad for the same reason that hate speech is, that aren't called hate speech. So if I talk about those damn conservatives, those damn liberals, those damn Democrats, those damn Republicans, it's the same thing as somebody talking about those damn whatevers, you know, be it a race or gender thing. Any kind of groupist talk is equivalently dumb and pointless and fundamentally hateful, right? In the sense that you are assaulting someone's ontology by reducing them to a group label that in your head means something, but they cannot possibly contain their person. So the thing is, hate speech is basically has the same quality of pornography, which is hard to define, easy to recognize. But the issue is not whether or not hate speech exists. The real issue is whether it's appropriate to treat hate speech differently than other kinds of discourse that someone might object to. So, yeah, well, no, I don't. But, and that's because it's the role of the community to enforce those kind of community norms. If somebody's engaged in genuinely hateful speech, then what should naturally occur is that the community push back against it en masse and say, basically, that kind of discourse is bad and makes me lose respect for you. The thing is, so here's something that we would never consider hate speech, but that is definitely hate speech in a meaningful sense, which is like this comment that I included in my conversation about this title about spite tonight, which is this guy named Avec Amour, which means with love in French, left a comment that is just full of personal attacks on my character that are completely false, and just it's just full of complete bullshit, trying to make me look bad, make me feel bad, meow. So it's like that guy is very spiteful to me and very hateful in his intentions, in the sense that he wants to get me, you know. But and he doesn't care whether his words are true or not true. He's okay with slandering me, misrepresenting me, and saying a bunch of really nasty lies about me in order to satisfy his spiteful urges. But that wouldn't be considered hate speech because it doesn't use as its particular attack mechanism. Well, I mean, you might call it hate speech because it's kind of ageist. He's attacking the fact that I'm old in part, but you know, it wouldn't be as obvious as if I were dark-skinned and he called me some racial slur, right? But it's nevertheless, the point is, it is the case that when people communicate and are dishonest in their communications, that their reasonable expectation to have their speech heard and listened to is well, see, that's the thing, Jeffrey, is like, in conventional definitions of it, yeah, it has to be groupist or discriminatory. But in actual reality, you can be extremely hateful towards someone in your speech simply by being dishonest and launching a bunch of unwarranted character attacks, and not evoke any kind of group labels in the process, and that wouldn't be called hate speech. So that's one of the problems with hate speech, is that the problem is the hate, not the specific speech. Hate always manifests as something ugly and undesirable. That doesn't mean we should legislate against everything that manifests as. That doesn't mean we should legislate against everything that's ugly and undesirable on the grounds that therefore we're going to prevent hate or something. It's insane to try to legislate away people's struggles, basically. If somebody's engaging in hate speech and they've got this central narrative in their life that somehow, like, the Jews or whatever or some other group they don't like are to blame for everything, they are a broken, incomplete person, a person who's succumbed to a fundamental anger rather than being more humble than that, you know? How do you define anything without being groupist? Well, you start with cognitive functions. So the one kind of group label that is not bad are typology labels. And the reason they're not bad is because they're simply correcting a misconception that we currently have, which is that there's one thing, human, and we are all examples of that, and therefore we are either good or bad examples of various incarnations of human being. Like, if you look at a Big Five approach or an IQ approach, the point is you are a smart, conscientious, agreeable, open, extroverted, and not very neurotic human. Congratulations. Except that's wrong, right? So we aren't each an example of one thing that deviates from a single mean in varying ways. We are examples of one of 16 possible things. And when we understand our means accordingly, that is to say, the average of like, to what extent do I deviate from the average ENTP in terms of behavior, affect, achievement, or whatever, things that can be measured. To what extent I deviate from the average ENTP in terms of cognitive function stack is a resolves question, 0. And so then when we're talking about human beings, with cognitive functions, we resolve this ongoing assault of a multiplicity of different frame projections that has represented the progress of human history heretofore. In all of our analysis of life, the universe, and everything, we've never had the right frame. I mean, Jonathan Basante's type has been double confirmed because I typed him once and doubted my own typing, and then I typed him again. So that's a pretty stout audit-proof typological tax return. Winston's mom. It would be hard for somebody to say you're not FE polar. And you're not an ISTJ. What you provide us are quotes that... It's a good strategy, of course. You can say stuff that's potentially adversarial to what I'm saying. If you put it in quotes, it's not you saying it, it's the guy you're quoting, right? So it's a good approach. But what you don't do, while you do mention your son, Eric, sometimes, you never give us any actual... Well, occasionally you'll give us some particulars about your ferrets or whatever. But by and large, you don't seem outside of me. So if you're FE polar and not at SI, that makes you INTJ. Well, the thing about it is that someone can think they are a type when they are clearly not, but they become attached to that label. Right, and that's what's going to happen if we don't understand going in to typology. Like if somebody who uses NI instrumentally doesn't really get that typology is more robust than equivalent kind of arbitrary, what color is your parachute kind of shit, like, I'm a pink, blue, red. Its cognitive functions are uniquely different from all that other bullshit that looks a lot like it. Because cognitive functions afford us a meaningful new lexicon to more, stop being so right about things. I want to see something here. Okay. I do believe that's really Eliana Diaz. And the reason is because she joined 2019. So that's a good way to tell if somebody's a faker, or not. For a moment I thought Eliana Diaz might be a faker. Well, you did have some sort of hack thing happen the other day you were talking about, right? I mean, the thing is, for those people without a more detached or open perspective, quote unquote, they are making just as specific and firm an advocacy as I am. It's just wrong. It's not like I'm more open to their wrongness than they are to my correctness. It's that neither of us is particularly open about this issue, but one of us is right. And sometimes life's like that, it's just, there's nothing else much to say. There's no cutting the baby in half that can be accomplished to make everybody feel as though they've been attended to in this matter. I go right ahead and ask your random question. You don't even need to announce it as such. You can just ask it. Yeah, rights are a thing. What you're asking is a question that can be broken down in a couple of ways. Some people will try to challenge the existence of rights by saying, well, if rights are really a thing, where do they come from? Well, where they come from is our understanding that people's claims to things or whatever can be more or less legitimate, more or less correct. And the rights calculus is one that explains that more or less correct thing in a fair way that universalizes for everybody. So the question isn't whether or not we have rights. The question is whether or not we want to advocate that rights be considered important in a given matter's calculation. That we have at our disposal the tool of rights as a linguistic tool is not in any dispute. When we define rights, we can talk about other things that we need to be able to talk about to make meaningful legal arguments. So if I want to explain why is it illegal for someone to steal my car, I can't explain why it should be illegal. I can explain why it's illegal, but I can't explain why it should be illegal without appealing to rights. All rights stem from property. The reason rights exist is because we believe property exists. And the reason we believe property exists is because, take a circumstance like this. For anybody who's like a commie and they don't like the realities of quote-unquote capitalism, they're imagining a lack of property, meaning corporations have to give you stuff for free or something, But in reality, what a lack of respect for property rights means is that a farmer who works all spring and summer long planting, tilling, growing his crops, and then despite having all that time and energy invested into it, has them all stolen by a group of bandits, all of his crops stolen by a group of bandits the day before harvest or something. We can understand then where property rights come from in the what you'd call Lockean sense, like John Locke's kind of understanding of it, which is there's initial approbation, there's work put into the thing, and or legitimacy of transfer. So it's like if something's not owned, if I go up into the woods and get a random stick, and nobody owns it, I can just take it and come bring it back here. Now it's my stick, sort of. But if when I get back home I just leave that stick out in the backyard, and let's say my brother comes and he gets the stick and he says, "This is my stick," and I'm like, "No, that's my stick." And he's like, "I just found it in the backyard. How is it your stick? It's just sitting there on the lawn." And I'm like, "Well, that's just where I left it, but I brought it back from the mountains." "Well, that doesn't make it your stick. It's still just a random stick until you know." So the point is, whose stick is it at that point? It's kind of up in the air. But let's say I bring the stick home from the mountains and I carve it into something. Now it's a carving that I've made. It's clearly my property. It's no longer a stick because I put work into it and time into it. I've got part of my identity and experience invested into this object. It becomes my possession at that point, and I own it. And so that is an example of attaining ownership rights from initial acquisition and work put into. Then if I sell my carving to somebody else, they have ownership of it due to legitimacy of transfer. All rights follow from ownership. All rights to like bodily integrity and stuff follow from the idea that you own your own body, that slavery is inherently morally wrong, and that any kind of attempt to claim ownership of another person's body is a violation of a universal moral prohibition against slavery. Now, it is true that if we don't agree on that axiom, and it's also true that that axiom is fundamentally arbitrary. There's no way to prove to anybody that it's morally wrong to enslave people. All you can do is say, we have the capacity to evaluate the legitimacy of actions on moral grounds, and we also have the capacity to intuit the legitimacy of stuff on moral grounds. Intuitively, we know that slavery is wrong. If we can agree on that basis, then all other rights arguments can be deductively established from that axiom. How far do our rights to our own bodies extend? Well, I mean, remember, all rights confer a duty onto somebody else. So that's a good question, Jeffrey. And the point is, if you live out in the woods and you have no neighbors for many miles around you, then you can do that and not run afoul of another's rights. In other words, the sphere of my rights ends where the sphere of your rights begins. Each of our rights confers on everybody a duty to not interfere. If I'm blasting music at an unreasonable hour, I'm interfering with everybody's ability to sleep, and it's appropriate for the community to constrain my autonomy in that fashion. Same is true if I'm constantly building bonfires in my backyard and flooding my neighbor's house with smoke. Even though I'm not directly acting upon him, my actions lead to a foreseeable trespass upon him, and therefore it's reasonable for the community to get me to stop. But the thing about rights is the only kind of universal rights there are negative rights. So only a negative right can be universalized, which means confer a duty onto every other person. My right to bodily autonomy confers a duty onto every other person not to stab me. And under certain circumstances, rights can be forfeit. So if I'm a criminal, then my right to autonomy and going about my business unmolested by others is forfeit for some period of time because I didn't respect the rights of others. So a right isn't so much something that one possesses as it is something that either justifies your condemnation of somebody or justifies your insistence on a certain boundary being respected. As for logic and internal consistency, these mundane rules do not apply to sacred writings and never have. Well, I mean, that's true. Obviously, magical thinking isn't magical thinking if it validates logically. And it's not inherently bad or wrong to include magical thinking in one's ontology. But we run afoul of problems sometimes when people who include more magical thinking in their ontology use that magical thinking to justify public matters. So it's like magical thinking is one frame of reference that could be incorporated into a complete person, and how much that magical thinking informs the totality of that person's epistemology is gonna tell you how well they've got it integrated by some external standard. So, like, my magical thinking stuff only informs things about which it's appropriate for magical thinking to inform. So, Jeffrey asks a good question here. Say I choose not to wear a mask and I breathe. If I violate the guys next to me is right not to be potentially infected by disease. Well, see, that's the interesting thing, Jeffrey, is the problem with mask mandates is they don't apply only to people who have the disease. If they were to apply to people only who had the disease, then you could reasonably make the claim that requiring them to wear a mask is the positive action they need to do to not violate someone else's rights. So, if I were on fire, I could go to the lake and put myself out, or I could walk over to the barn with a bunch of hay and a bunch of people at a barn dance and try to roll in the hay and put myself out. One of them is a better choice than the other, right? But if I'm not on fire, then making me wear a fire retardant, a fire suppressing suit of some sort doesn't make any sense. And the burden's on the person who's mandating to establish that, in fact, the person they're mandating to has the thing that they proposes a threat to everybody else. Your liberty to swing fists is just where my nose begins. Yeah. Hi, Rachel. Darling Squirrelly, I'm interested in how your conversation with Jen went. I was happy to see you have such a long conversation as far as reconnecting, I guess you might say. Look at you, Eliana. 2008? Wow. You've been on YouTube a long time, longer than me. You got 746 subscribers and you haven't put up a video in 7 years. That's funny. Good night, Jeffrey. Sleep well. Don't let the bread bugs bite, okay? What was I doing in 2008? 2008. That was 14 years ago. So I was 36. Delilah was 8 years old. I'd probably started working at Rebay. Probably not quite started coaching debate at Rebay. Maybe it was my first year there or my second year there. Maybe I just started coaching debate there. So I was a school teacher. No, I probably hadn't quite started at Rebay if Delilah was 8. Because Delilah started middle school at Rebay a couple years after I started teaching there. And she started middle school at 12. So, no, maybe 11. So, actually, yeah. I was just about to start teaching at Rebay. I was still teaching with Samuelson, doing grammar stuff, and I had left the county before then, and so I was about to take on the next stage of my career. That's what I was doing in 2008. I was being a regular dad, husband, work guy, you know. You're gonna read this article because it looks pretty fucking good. That sounds like a juicy read there, bro. Now, Rachel, you should recall that you and I have to facilitate my mom's haircut tomorrow. I mean, you don't have to go if you don't want to. I could do it myself, but I'm planning on leaving here about 10:30. Maybe a little before then, 10:20. So I'll probably be wrapping up this streamaroo here pretty quick. But I do want to talk about my shorts channel a bit before I go into that. So, about 60 or maybe 70 videos of the original 90 have published now. I added another 20 or so tonight, maybe not quite that much. And the initial results as far as the stats go are interesting. So it's like, of those initial 60 or 70 published shorts, 10 of them have made the feed and gotten 1,000 or more views. 1,000 and some, or 2,000 and some. One looked like it was about to bust past 3,000. And then the rest of them have like, there's a few of them that have hit like very briefly, like they just have a few hundred, and then the rest of them are just like 1 or 2 views, right? So I'm curious to what extent, you know, like I'm curious to let this continue to play out and see how it rolls. But the reality is that, like, on the first day of doing that, the first 2 days of doing that or something, I got like 14,000 views. When I look at my 48 hours on Talking with Famous People in the last 48 hours, it's always around 5,000 or 6,000. Whereas that short channel, just from this experiment, instantly jumps to twice that. And the ones I made tonight are maybe a little more refined than the initial batch of them. A little more crafted. So maybe they'll do better, maybe they won't, I'm not sure. It's also interesting to note that kind of like there's a possibility anyway. I won't really know until I look at all the data with more time passing on this experiment. But it appears that the ones that do well are there may be a correlation between having Tiffany being like a dumb blonde girl and that particular short doing better. So that might be the case, but it not necessarily. Like one of the most successful ones that I've done so far is this guy. Let me show you him. This guy, you can't really see him very well because of the filter. Let me turn the filter off for a second. Okay, so this guy, so bright. And I have him saying like, but wait, I haven't even gotten to the best part yet. That one's doing quite well. It's like 6 seconds long or something. The other thing is, I've picked up 40 subscribers in like 3 or 4 days on that channel. Almost all of them random people, not brought over from here, although some of them. But I've been trying not to promote it at all or anything on this channel. So the thing is, that's good stuff, Jonathan. In fact, I was thinking about repeating that process at some point of doing another stream where it's just like, okay, help me make shorts, help me come up with things to do shorts about, because that was helpful, and I noticed that as well. So well, see, that's the thing. I think that these little doll videos, well, what I like about it is, if you look at my shorts channel now, first of all, there's nothing but shorts on the shorts channel. So I actually need to upload one video, because if you don't have a single upload and you have all shorts, YouTube makes your channel like a little different than a regular channel. So, like, I can't, on my front page of the shorts channel, I can't customize it at all to show a playlist of just doll videos. And it just had, all I can do is show shorts. And then when you click on one of them, it takes you to this weird scroll down page that doesn't work. So I may have to upload one non-shorts video so that I can enable the capacity of my page to do things that normal pages can do. But at the same time, I'm wondering if there might be an advantage if I just stay pure shorts. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a freeloading bastard. I mean, in EDOM, that means I got no problem using other people's ideas. Not everything has to be my idea. I'm good at recognizing other people's good ideas. And, it's not like they're going to do it themselves. It's not like you're going to get some dolls and use your own quotes, so might as well use them. It's called TWFP Shorts. I'm sure if you search that, you'll find it. It's got a picture of my shorts with the word YouTube written on it in pen. Get it? YouTube Shorts. It's got a picture of short pants. What do you mean try with an alternate channel first? What does that mean? You mean try the... It's a pun. You get it? It's a fun pun. Oh, the T. No, it's YouTube written on shorts, isn't it? I think it's YouTube written on shorts because it's CWFP YouTube shorts. Unless I'm wrong. I visualized in my head as writing YouTube on the shorts. I can picture it really clearly. But I really like that this guy moves his hands when you do this. Hey, 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 hey! Hey, hey, look at me. I'm moving my hands. Oh, well, yeah. Here's the thing, though, about that, Jonathan Basanti, is originally I had an uploaded video to that channel. And it wasn't until I deleted that video to make it all shorts that it reverted to this format that it has. So it's not like it's always been this. But still, yeah, I get what you're saying. But the thing is, what I'm seeing on my shorts channel is completely consistent with how my shorts perform on my main channel. It's not like YouTube's treating either channel any differently as far as I can tell. Oops, not that. God damn it. Damn this. Damn this damn Maries. You know? How you can't click links when you're streaming, it's super annoying. It's like stamp spelled STHAAAP. Stamp. This student of mine, Kelly, used to spell stop like that. He'd say it like that too. Say, oh Kelly, you stop. You silly goose. Wanting to run all your feminist garbage. Don't you know that's not gonna it's like, yeah, I can help you with it, but you're gonna be running bullshit. You know how they go, how people are. Sometimes they just want to run bullshit. And what are you gonna say? Okay, well, you want to run your bullshit, you know. No skin off my back, I suppose, but even if you win with this, don't think it's because it was. I just want to say thank you for watching my YouTube shorts. Yeah, that video right there. I guess that might have been my first one. Oh, he wants to be type police? Sure, I'll type police him. I mean, I already know that I'm going to conclude as it needs to be. I've looked at his channel. When I looked at it, I was like, oh my god. This makes me realize how ridiculous I am. That's what I thought. I'm sure it does work fine on the phone because shorts are designed for the phone. They're not designed for a laptop. So that's why I haven't done the upload thing, because I think if I were to do the upload thing, then it wouldn't default to that scroll thing on the phone probably. I don't know. Anyhow, it's pretty exciting to have this little side experiment going on and have it be, you know, working, but also it seems like promising because I can certainly make the equivalent of 24 shorts a day, one an hour. It doesn't take that long to make them, really. It's kind of fun. It is fun. It's more fun than a lot of other things that I might spend time making, because at least it's a bunch of completed things. James Barlow, it's not safe to watch live streams while you're asleep. Okay? People have been known to crash their cars if they're participating in live while asleep and driving, for example. So, what have we learned here today? We've learned so much. Today's been a day of learning, loving, living, laughing, and languishing in the glory of everything. Now, and for the first time forever again, Amen. James Barlow, may I just be the first to welcome you to YouTube. You've only been around for a couple of months now, and takes some getting used to, I know. Takes some getting used to.
Hi, handsome.
Hi, darling. How you doing?
Good. Good. I just wanted to come in for a kiss.
You gonna go to bed?
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably join you in not too long.
Okay.
Well, I'm not feeling very sleepy right now, but I know I gotta get some hours because we gotta go do that mom thing tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
I think what I will do, perhaps, is play just one or two quick songs before I go. And then I will bid you all the fondest, moistest, and most loving adieu I can manage. I mean, I've had plenty of people who come in suspecting or maybe feeling one way or the other about their type, but not really committed to that, and they're coming in because they have uncertainty. There are some people come in with certainty, just wanting confirmation, but that's fairly rare, because people who just want confirmation probably can tell I'm a bad person to go to for that. I'm not going to be maneuvered into typing them what they want to be typed as, you know? I want more creative, interesting stories. What is up with that cat, you know?
No, he is so in love.
Troubles with Tom sitting outside the door, calling for my cat to come out and be a whore. But she's had her uterus removed. Trouble, you're a fella, I get your needs, but can't you see that your kitty seed is never gonna find its way into my cat? And you're gonna have to be okay with that.
My kitty. You want to come with me?
I think you should pick her up
Sorry.
so the trouble doesn't
Trouble
bother
doesn't
her.
get to her? Okay.
Well, he'll run away, I guess. But yeah, she probably does want to go in with you.
I love you.
I love you too, darling. With my moisture heart. What do you get when you combine the wettest moisture with the finest wine? Intoxicating emotionality. You get your feelings and looky-see feelings. as wet as a mountain lake. They're as wet as an ice cream shake that's melted into liquid. Oh yeah, I said feelings. They're as wet as the winter snow once it's melted and traveled down below to the rivers and inside the banks and shores of a fresh body of water. Of a fresh body of water. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna play one real song and probably that's it, and then go. I'm gonna play I'll play two real songs. I'll play Trucker's Woes and then I'll play Cloudy Day. Well, I come from New York City and to Florida, come from old Chicago, California way, but I never left a place I loved, 'cause I was out of dough. And I'm 1/2 step from Utah and 2 miles from Idaho. So when you ask me, darling, do I have a trucker's woes? Well, I gotta tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. I drive all night and I drive all day to be home by the end of the week. And I gotta tell you, baby, things are looking mighty bleak. I'm a couple of pair of underwear away from Tennessee, driving west to see my best girl, oh Linda Lee. Well, I'm driving fast and I'm drinking beer, radio's on Winona Judd, and I'm 1/2 step from Utah and 2 miles out of the mud. So when you ask me, darling, is I have a trucker's blues? Well, I got to tell you, darling, from my head down to my toes. Drive all night and I drive all day to be home by the end of the week. And I gotta tell you, darling, things are looking mighty bleak. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. My life can strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night, and voices mostly say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to fight, but whether I'm supposed to be here or just be soon forgotten, noise is sort of based on what I see here, and also on what I avoid. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, today. We run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say, something to say. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. I think I'm gonna actually play Wonderful, Wonderful Kitty. I forgot I have a new song, so I like to generally play my new song when I get the chance until it ceases to be my new song. In which case, all bets are off. Alright, here we go. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, fabulous all friend. And now it's wonderful kitty, bedtime time again. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's bedtime time, and wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. But your wonderful kitty is a fabulousness I've never encountered before. And I know that I want to pet my kitty some more. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's bedtime time. Hooray! Well, here's the thing, Boba Fett. I know that you made me mess up in that song with that comment, by the way. That's your fault. I'm blaming you just like Melissa Talks blames me, okay? It is your fault for making that comment. I know that my set list is a bit stale for you people who are here, and that you have endured me getting good at playing these songs. The reality is this, though. It looks like Rachel and I will probably be out playing a show not in super long time, because we talked to Dave and Natalie about it. They play shows frequently, and basically it's like, yeah, next time somebody, it looks like there's an opening, I'll suggest. I know somebody and stuff like that. So when I do play that set out in the world with Rachel, at that point the issue of it being a stale set around here is going to be irrelevant, and the fact that it's now a practiced set is going to matter. So I get it. I find it a little stale too, and I'm glad I wrote Wonderful Kitty, because I'm glad I figured that one out. I'd have to replace Cat, because if I did say Cat, I would say, I just want all handout living. I want only parts of what I'm given. That would be a good way to put it, you know. Thanks, Klaus. What a swell fellow you are. You're a swell fellow. That means I'm going to play one more song after all. We need to know. We need to see. We need to pen happenings down by our means to judge. Our logic to life we divisively unlike, and from which we'll rarely budge. everywhere gather up enemies, outraged at how they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities, ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting Carson and Desiree, we're stuck with such petty larceny. We all partition the rectories and call it destruction of the whole damn world. Julie shared now her limits, hoping Julie will too. Mary shares for 4 minutes. He just can't share things like they do. Julie always thought that she should have bought too when she had the chance to buy. Julie always thought about should and not, but she ought recall she'll die. People everywhere gather up enemies, outraged at how they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities, ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting Carson and Desiree, we're stuck in such petty larceny. We all partition the rectories and call it destruction of the whole damn world. It's called Destruction of the Whole Damn World. That's what that song's called. And it's what happens when you mix a neutron star with a regular fusion energy star and place it right on the tip of the Eiffel Tower. Don't do that. Just don't. That's how you destroy the whole damn world. Okay, so that's going to do it for tonight. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to tell you that I feel a lot of moist feelings, and they're all positive, and they're all directed towards all of you. Well, yeah, Jonathan, not all my songs are equally good. Some of them are better than others. The I'm Sad For You, Sad For Her song, I'm glad to hear you mention that one. I like to play that one with Rachel. It's one of our more made to be a duet songs. And so that one works well with the call and response at the end. I like. In general, things have more listenability when Rachel's participating because the addition of her voice and mixes things up and makes it more. Yeah, it's like there's something very. You gotta really do something if you're just a guy with a guitar. It's. Whereas if you're a chick and a guy with a guitar, it's a much more palatable package for people, you know. And Rachel's got a good voice too. It's like a nice, sweet voice. It's what you might call a non-threatening voice, and also a no requirement from the audience voice. So it's like if somebody's gonna be super fancy with their voice, it's like there's almost this requirement of the audience that they recognize the technical skill of that person in this really gay way, where it's like, woo! That's horrible. But if you got a sweet kind of pure voice like Rachel does, well, it's soft. You know, everything about Rachel's participation in the channel and my music and everything softens and humanizes it and makes it more palatable to people. So anyway, thanks for being here. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese, and I'm sorry you guys all got killed on that trip to South America.